I'm gonna let that vibe out for a little bit.
Yeah, got to.
There we go. Brett's getting into the DJ thing, dude. It never really goes past this part, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, good enough there. Good enough. Hey, this is DJ Kelly Reverb, and you are watching This Pink Cloud, Season 2, Episode 36. If you don't know what This Pink Cloud is, we are a resource broker and a show on sobriety and recovery. If you're sober curious, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. If somebody you think can use this show, let them know. Sitting in with me today is the lovely and talented Dylan Kingston from Skate Straight Recovery.
Sup, guys? How's everybody doing this morning?
And how have you been, dude? Let's catch up real quick. I know you just started doing the Skate Straight recovery meeting smart recovery meeting out in Alliance in Arlington, correct?
Yeah, man. We've been doing Wednesday nights and Fridays for gentlemen's, and dude, it's been great. We got a little bit of publicity this last week. We were on Channel 8 News, Kurt's story, our story. All on the news and stuff, so that really has put us out there.
Oh yeah,
and so
it was a great piece, dude. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, dude, it was way cooler than I ever
It was just like one single tear. It was like una lagra.
Well, my mom called me and she was like, "I'm so proud of you guys," and she's like crying on the phone, and I'm like,
I love it, dude. But my favorite thing was you looked really confused or constipated in the shot.
I did.
The shot of you, dude. It was just like.
That's my meeting face, okay? I'm trying to soak it in.
I love it. Hey, well, real quick, I want to get to our sponsors before we get to our guests, which I am super excited to have on. We are sponsored. We are brought to you by summersky.us. That is summersky.us, and that is 888-857-8857. Once again, that is 888-857-8857. They are a rehab out in lovely Stephenville, Texas. That's where I went, and it's working so far. So far, so good. Also, want to shout out to our boys at cardinalhouserecovery.com. And that is Cardinal House Sober Living. If you're looking for that long-term accountability and a great program, these guys have it over there. Give my boy Josh a call.
Shout out Josh.
Yeah, I love Josh. 918-998-4223. Once again, that is 918-998-4223. Sober Living, if you're looking for that long-term accountability, hit those guys up. So, Anyway, the good stuff. I actually met this gentleman was introduced to him via Josh. I mean, I think you know Josh, right, Rich?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so Richard is actually Zooming in with us because he has got the COVID.
He's got it.
He's got the COVID. So he is being socially responsible and isolating, which I understand, but we're all vaccinated. But whatever, it's all good. Richard Bradshaw, you have your own nonprofit called Central Texas Harm Reduction, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you also work at Brazos Recovery, correct?
Yeah.
And that is out on Lake Whitney, and you are the director of operations, correct?
No, I'm the operations manager.
Oh, yeah. Operations manager. Okay, sorry.
Just right under the director of operations. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, cool, man. Well, either way, you're a big shot, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, so Richard, what I usually do on the show is have the guest, tell a little bit about their story, and then we're definitely going to get to a lot of good information. But why don't you give the people and me, a little bit of your background story and how you wound up where you are.
Okay, for sure. Good deal. So, my name's Richard Bradshaw. I am 28 years old, and I'm originally from Waco, Texas. I'd identify as a heroin addict in recovery, but I've also used just about everything under the sun, pretty repetitively, and
you would just say you're into more, is what we like to say.
Yeah, definitely. So I used pretty chaotically, starting at about age 13, 14. Started out with prescription stimulants, Adderall, stuff like that. I actually used to skateboard a lot.
Hey, nice.
Yeah. So there was nothing better than taking a few Adderall and going.
Taking a little Adderall and hitting the vert, dude.
I can.
Oh, yeah.
I can see that.
There was nothing better than that. And,
right.
Over the years, some of my substance use kind of progressed, and then at about age 16, 17, right around my 17th birthday, I actually injected heroin and cocaine for the first time, and ended up doing that for about another 7 years.
Right.
Up until around 25, and man, throughout that time, there's a lot of things that I experienced and that happened within my existence of being a person who used drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that included interacting with our formal treatment system here in America, and a lot of it included interacting with the medical side of things in regards to ERs, ICUs, and things of that nature.
And you got to know them firsthand, and not necessarily by choice, right?
Yeah.
Oh no! It was never.
It's funny as I'm hearing your story, I'm looking at Dylan because he has a very similar story to yours as well. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. So some of the points I like to hit on that too is I'm a survivor of hepatitis C.
Okay.
And also a survivor of bacterial endocarditis, which occurred in 2014. I was in the ICU, and then I was also hospitalized for 3 weeks with an infection in my heart valve.
Okay, so question, I'm not a doctor, so bacterial endocarditis, did I get that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what had happened was I didn't have access to any sterile injection equipment. No one had ever taught me anything about safety or sanitization of equipment. No one had ever taught me about these kind of simple precautions and resources that were available for me to take care of my health. And really the medical system overall treated me in a fashion which caused me to deem myself unworthy of those things to begin with. So I never pursued any avenue looking for that.
Right. Yeah. No, that's something really important that you just said right there, is because, you already felt like a dirtbag yourself. And then the system, when you get in there, that they're going, yeah, well, guess what? You are,
well, and like you said, it's not like if you go to the hospital or anything like that, it's not like they try and educate you like, hey, you should be using clean needles or anything like that. They're just like, you should stop doing drugs.
Yeah.
And as an addict and someone, that's hard.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
It's not just a switch you flip off. It's
Yeah, it definitely is. And also too, one of the things that I want to hit on too is that the manner in which I was treated in, and which I see countless others being treated in, the manner in which they do that in regards to, well, you should just stop, and we're not going to help you because you don't want to stop, and why don't you just quit doing it and all that, and all those are really novel ideas.
Yeah, those are great ideas. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, those are really cool ideas, and but
it's a great it's a great concept, but not necessarily reality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't my reality, and what that did was that contributed and to the shame and guilt that I already felt.
Oh
as
yeah.
someone who used drugs, and those are feelings which precipitate more drug use. Those aren't feelings that precipitate recovery or lead me down the right path. Like shame and guilt isn't really a foundation that positive change can be built on. And,
I agree. I agree with that 100%, because like I said, you're already feeling that shame and guilt, and if they toss more on the cart, it's just like nobody's going, hey, why don't you meet you where you're at and try to direct you in a positive direction. And even if it's just baby steps, even if it's like something like MAT, which I'm a huge fan of.
And that's definitely that right there is definitely a huge part of my story as well. I was lucky enough during my experience to have some contact with some very compassionate healthcare providers that valued my life, and they didn't impose a certain destination on me while I was interacting with them. And throughout my story, there are times where my safety was greatly increased, and my risk of a fatal overdose was significantly decreased due to the fact that a physician that cared about my life met with me and prescribed me a medication that would protect those things.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, you were saying that you are an opioid user, right? So would that be like something like a buprenorphine or?
Yes.
Okay. And for those people out there, I like to I like to put this out there. MAT is what does that stand for, Richard? Medic.
It stands for medication assisted treatment, and some of the new terminology that we're leaning towards now is MOUD, which is medications for opioid use disorder.
Okay. And get a little specialized, but okay. So in that there is certain things that you can take, and I've heard them put as like it's a ceiling drug, with Suboxone, aka buprenorphine. And did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm just bullshitting my way through, but but buprenorphine, and that's something that somebody can take. It's orally, and it's basically to to help you stop actually shooting heroin or snorting heroin and opioids. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the really cool things about that is even in my situation, I was I think it catches a lot of heat, that that it's not, our conventional means of recovery or whatever anyone would want to say about it. But I can say that I did benefit from it in the sense that I didn't die, and
sure.
I know a lot of people that have,
mm-hmm.
and also too, one of the cool things about it is I would take it for a month or so, or I would take it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so, and then
mm-hmm.
I would kind of get to this point where I would plan out a little deal where I wouldn't take it for maybe a day and a half, and then I would go get some heroin
mm-hmm.
and stuff like that.
Right.
And even in that sense, even in that sense, and with that experience right there, it saved my ass, because if I would have gone 3 weeks with just traditional abstinence,
Right.
and then placed an opioid into my body while I have this diminished tolerance because I haven't had any at all in 3 weeks, that's one of the top risk factors for opioid overdose.
Exactly.
It's people that are recently been released from inpatient treatment, or people who have been abstinent for a period of time and return to use.
Oh yeah, they think they can dose up like they used to, and it's just like, your body has actually, the tolerance, like you said, is not there anymore. Right.
It's greatly diminished. So, and at the time too, I didn't want abstinence, and I couldn't picture a life of abstinence. And,
right.
And like I said, I'm really grateful for the healthcare providers that I interacted with during that time that had love and compassion for me. I'm grateful for one doctor specifically that really stood by my side and provided me with a lot of life-saving resources, tools, and medication.
Sure.
During that time, because there were times where I would go in for my appointment.
Mm-hmm.
I would take a UA at my appointment, you know. And
urinary analysis, by the way. I had to explain that to my sister today.
So I would take a drug test, you know, and I would test positive for benzodiazepines because I had been taking Xanax that I was buying from my friend. I would test positive for marijuana because I was still smoking marijuana. I would test positive for cocaine. I would test positive for MDMA. I would test positive for all these things, and this doctor was compassionate enough to know and value incremental improvements to my safety by me not injecting opioids, because all of that other stuff is necessarily not too good either, you know, for someone that was in my condition.
Yeah, right.
But it didn't. He knew that if he took me off of the medication that he was prescribing me, that he would place me in a significantly higher risk category of fatal overdose.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because without the medication, I would return back to opioids. So I'm very grateful for that. And,
and basically you had somebody that was willing, and I've learned this in, the RSPS training, which is Recovery Support Peer Specialist. But that you try to meet that person where they are, versus force that person of where you want them to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And also too, I've taken the RSPS training as well, and like that's one of the some of those. So within the agency that I founded, which is Central Texas Harm Reduction, within that agency we focus on some core principles, and a lot of those are derived from peer support. You know, we focus on a lot of that, and we've designed a model for peer support around people who are actively using substances. Right. And we carry a lot of that, meet them where they're at. And that's one
you actually need to, thinking about this, you and my buddy Kurt that does Skate Straight need to get together and meet up, and maybe y'all can actually work together where you could come out and do your what was the word I was looking
training
for? Your training. There you go.
Yeah.
I was like, and do your assembly.
Well, no, yeah, absolutely. I think that would be, I mean, and having access to Narcan and fentanyl strips and all of those things, like that's something that's like a pertinent thing. And so I think absolutely if and I'll get your number before this, and maybe I can hook you up with Kurt or whatever, because I talk to him a lot. But we'll work something out where we can work with Skate Straight so we can have that stuff readily available for people.
Yeah, for sure. And
okay, so like I want to get to this because there's a lot of good information and a lot of stuff that people out there might not understand. So, you do with Central Texas Harm Reduction, you do training of how to administer Narcan.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, we do training. Yeah, how to administer Narcan, how to use a fentanyl test strip.
All right. Well, do you want to? Because I know you have a PowerPoint. So, if you want to kind of give us a little bit of the tour of what you would do. I mean, just like maybe a truncated, not a full-on, training session, but enough, and we'll just ask questions as you're showing us stuff.
Yeah, that'll definitely work. I'm gonna take a few moments to share my screen really quick. And I think I'm gonna cough a little bit too.
Okay, go ahead and cough because you're sick. I know you're allowed. And I appreciate you actually fighting through it, dude. Because I was like, well, dude, it's okay. It's just a Zoom, dude. We'll just prop up your corpse, dude, and go through a PowerPoint, dude. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, no worries. It would have been cool if you were like laying down. I just appreciate the fact that like you put a collared shirt on, and
and you're actually wearing pants. So
yeah,
and we do appreciate that.
I can't tell you how many Zoom meetings I've been on where I was not wearing I had a shirt on but no pants.
But at least boxers, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, maybe. Hey, it's Free Ball Friday.
Hey,
right?
Look, I'm at home. You guys can't tell me shit.
All right. So so what do we got here? We're looking at it says a risky endeavor.
Yeah, so this is a slide that we created to kind of bring people information in about what's going on out here. So Central Texas Harm Reduction as an organization, we conduct regular tests of substances that are procured off of the streets by a lot of our participants.
Right. And I was saying the street. I know some street terms. Those are totem poles, and those are blueberries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to get real, just to show my street cred.
Well, that's weird.
For sure. Yeah, dude. So these ones right here on the left, these are some 2 milligram Xanax that are floating around a lot of Texas. They don't have any letter or number markings or imprints. They are just scored into quadrants.
Okay.
But they're not. They don't say anything on them. And
sure.
We've had a few cases of these testing positive. Each one that's been tested has tested positive for the presence of fentanyl, and also too we have had multiple occurrences of overdoses.
Well, let's touch on that because we talked about it briefly last week. Fentanyl is the thing that's really, a lot of people, when you get street pills, you have, it's anybody's guess, anybody's game. It could be anything, but it's the fentanyl that's in there that's causing the people to OD, correct?
Yeah. So, and I'm gonna just run through and kind of think all of the viewers through the kind of process that led up to fentanyl becoming a part of our drug supply.
Okay.
Really quick.
Sounds good.
So here in Texas and also around the nation around the same time. So you see up here in this top right corner, there's a M30, which is a 30 milligram oxycodone, which in 2012, kind of at the peak of when a lot of these were pumped out through regulated means, which they were coming from pharmacies and
from let's just say it from Purdue.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. So in the top right corner we see those. So in 2011, 2012, the price of that on average here in Texas was 50 cents a milligram. So it was $15 for one of these blue 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then in 2014 and in 2017, there were some pretty heavy amendments made to the Texas Administrative Code, which is the regulatory guide for pain management physicians. there were some amendments made to that. And so it cut down on their ability to prescribe that.
Right.
And so the thing is that when that happened, the price of these pills shot up to about.
Well, it's the old supply and demand.
Well, and it was
and demand.
Yeah, it was and it was also to cut down on like pharmacy shopping and like doctor shopping.
Yeah.
So they became 3 signature drugs.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So in an effort to cut down on that, what the government kind of did unknowingly or inadvertently is they shot the price of these pills up so high that it created a very lucrative opportunity for people to produce counterfeits. And so it's a lot easier. So a counterfeit would have to have an active ingredient. And so the most readily available, cheapest active ingredient that the illicit drug manufacturers could find was fentanyl. So the thing is, though, is that let's say you get enough fentanyl to press 1,000 of these M30s.
Right.
You would have to have very sophisticated technology to ensure that fentanyl was evenly spread throughout the mix before it was pressed.
Yeah, well, yeah, the FDA is not regulating.
Yeah.
It's not regulating. It's
Right.
not regulating any of it. So out of a batch of 1,000, you may get 300 that do relatively nothing. And then you would get 600
that knock
would
you
produce
on your
euphoria.
ass.
Right. They can wind you up in the ER. If you're lucky. If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, and we've had reports too of one of the more recent reversals was a guy, and we'll take into account his weight, 250 pounds, because that does bear a little bit of significance
Sure.
to toxicity. So 250 pounds, a quarter of one of the blue M30s that was purchased on the street out here sent him into respiratory depression.
Wow.
And so the inconsistency that are in these pills are something that has really brought a lot of this to the forefront to make it where this is something that happens. And we see the same thing with the Xanax as well. And it's impossible to know,
to know what's there, and I'm glad you brought that up, because there are actually test strips for that, right? And because we were talking last week, we had Brian Cuban on, and they had mentioned something about the fentanyl strips not being legal, but that is not true. The fentanyl test strips are legal and available, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if you want to go to your live camera, or do you have a fentanyl strip kind of slide on you, or?
I do have one here with me, but also on this next slide too, we're going to go through kind of the instructions on how to use one.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. And it kind of breaks it down play by play, and there are some different variations in the instructions depending on what kind of substance you're testing, if it's a stimulant or a depressant.
Okay. All right.
So we'll cruise on over to this next page. So give me 1 second real quick. I need to go.
Go ahead, dude. You need to expectorate, dude.
Get that COVID out of you.
Excuse me real quick while I cough up a lung. No, it's all good, dude. And hey, once again, I appreciate you toughing through this, dude. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. And a little bit of I'll just go ahead and throw this in right here, dude. Like, this is a very unfortunate situation that I'm in right now. I was actually supposed to get married in Vegas tomorrow.
Oh, geez.
I was supposed to fly out this afternoon to do that, and I was also supposed to be attending the Mobilize Recovery Convention this year. But with all that being said, and how unfortunate that is and everything, right now I am excited about recovery.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about the opportunity to talk to people about this stuff, dude, because this is where this is where my journey's taken me.
Yeah, no, and it's great. Yeah, no, and I love it. So, dude, that sucks, dude. Like the vid is messing up your marriage plans, but hey, you know, I guess what do you have to? You have to show your or as far as flying. I mean, do you have to? They ask you the questions, but then I'm sure there's assholes that actually fly that are positive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and it would have just been a really bad deal. Which I'm glad I got tested here beforehand, because the event that I'm going to, they test when you get there and all that.
Sure.
I wanted to be double sure and make sure and all that, and I actually ended up catching it before I was even symptomatic. And I was able to isolate for the past 3 days so far. So
well, that's good, and I am happy that you're being socially responsible.
Yeah.
So so let's hear about the fentanyl strips and how they work and how, like, I mean, okay, so like let's say like you know, I am a young person and I am and I have my you know, hand of goodies, or what I think are goodies, and you know, I first off, where can I get fentanyl strips?
So right now you can access them from a company called BTNX.
Okay.
And so you would just Google BTNX fentanyl test strip.
Okay.
And you'd be able to purchase through them.
And
but
you
also,
okay, go ahead.
Also, too, we're in the works of getting a vendor set up here in Texas, and I'll be sure to keep y'all posted on that.
Oh, please do, yeah.
Yeah, because
the only but once we reach that point, I will reach back out to y'all, and we'll be able to supply the whole state of Texas.
Right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because the only place that I've ever been able to get fentanyl test strips, I think when I went in for some mental health stuff or something on a relapse, Plano, they have like a mental health, like a whatever, and they give them out there regularly. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know for sure if they go to search Google BNTX and fentanyl.
BTNX.
Oh, BTNX. And then fentanyl strips, that they can access them there.
Yeah, they can purchase them off there. And also, too, if it's an organization purchasing from there, call the phone number, reach out to a sales rep.
What if it's just an individual?
An individual can buy them as well, too.
Okay, good. Because I know there's probably parents out there that are concerned, and then, you know, kids themselves, you know, I mean. Yeah,
definitely. And part of this too is to, I mean, this is just the reality of using drugs in 2021 right now. You know, the risk has changed. And so we've developed, some pretty simple practices in order to mitigate those risks, but the risks have changed. And whenever risk changes, we change our behavior and our plan of action around those risks.
Yeah, you got to call an audible. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, yeah. I get it. Yeah. So walk us through real quick on the fentanyl strips on how to use that.
Okay, cool deal. So if you're going to be testing opiates or a benzo, or like if you're going to be testing opiates or a Xanax pill or anything like that, you'll use half a shot glass of water, about 15 milliliters.
Okay.
And then, but you can also use like one of the little ketchup cups is a good measurement.
Okay.
And then also anything that like condiments are put into.
Oh yeah, you mean the Jello shot cups, dude? Yeah. I know those well, dude.
Yeah. Like a little Cambro or a little Ramekin.
Yeah.
One of those.
Ramekin,
yeah.
I love that word.
All my service industry.
All right.
Good deal.
So now there from the pill, like, okay, so I'm seeing a hand with a match, so like just about like a match head of the pill,
so just
and
about
you
a
can
match head portion of the pill, which would be about 1/4 or 1/5 of one of the blue 30s. It would be about an eighth of a Xanax bar. So yeah, about the size of a match head or a half a grain of rice, and you'll if it's a pill, you'll crush it before you mix it in with that 15 milliliters of water. And let's note right here too that if you're testing a stimulant, you'll need a full 30 milliliters of water.
Okay.
So you'll need a whole shot glass. So 15 milliliters for opiates and depressants, 30 milliliters for stimulants like cocaine, meth, or MDMA.
Okay.
And once you mix that solution up real nice, you hold the blue end of the test strip and you dip the other end into the water. So for anyone that's familiar with the urine analysis, this is basically about the same practice.
Right, but it tests for
you'll
fentanyl.
Hold the strip in the water.
Right.
Yeah, but it tests for fentanyl. So you'll hold the strip in the water for about 10 seconds. You'll take the strip out of the water and wait about a minute. And then you'll use a bright light to look at the strip and count how many red lines there are. So if there's 2 red lines, that means no, there is no fentanyl. And then if we see 1 red line, that'll give us an indication that there is fentanyl.
That means you're pregnant, right?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say
it's like a pregnancy strip for drugs.
I was gonna say that this is. I mean, this. If you're out there and you're using, you know what I'm saying. I mean, it took us 3 minutes to walk through this. It's a very simple process. You can do it with things that can be found. If you don't have a job or you don't have any, like a ketchup cup, you can go into any fast food joint and get one of the. You know what I'm saying? So it's something very simple and easy that can dude, it can save your life. You know, it can be the thing that whether you overdose that day or you know, like.
Well, you have experience with this, so now why, Dylan? I'm going to put you on the hot seat here real quick.
Yeah.
Why didn't you test your shit?
Well, because I didn't have test strips.
Okay.
Because I didn't seek them out, but also because I'm a drug addict and I thought I knew better. You know, don't we all?
I knew the guy. I had seen him more than twice.
Yeah,
I met him at
a fucking gas station. He had my best interests at heart.
Right.
But yeah, and I was a victim of the blue 30s. You know.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think if you get of making these strips. People aware of these strips, and B, making these strips readily available, I think is really key to at least helping an epidemic and a crisis situation.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody is ready to stop, so at least make it as safe as possible for these people that aren't, so that they have the option to make that decision when the time comes.
Agreed. I'm gonna tell y'all a little old man story. Back in the day, they used to do back in the 90s. They used to do everybody used to take a lot of MDMA.
Yeah,
and ecstasy was the huge thing back in the day. Well, it's basically the same process, so you don't know kind of what you're getting, dude, from who pressed this up, where did it come from, the source, anything. You don't know what's going on. But they actually had like a rave safe, like they had like a little dropper where you could drop it on the pill, and if it turned a certain color, don't take it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But so this is kind of the 2021 version of that. And then so once again, those fentanyl strips, if they go ahead and say it again.
Yeah, BTNX.
Right.
.com.
And
the best way to do it is to Google BTNX fentanyl test strip, because the company also widely produces COVID-19 testing material.
Oh, okay.
So
they got that test.
If you go to their website, that's going to be the first thing.
They got that test game on lock, dude.
Oh yeah, dude. And they're some of the best providers of any.
All right.
Any kind of test that anyone would need.
Sure. No. I like that. Okay, so let's move on from that. And then you also, in your presentation, you talk about Narcan because, okay, let's say if somebody takes one of these pills and then ODs, then you need the Narcan, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, and also too, I feel like this is important to hit on. So we see that caution sign right there, and it says, yes, there is fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
So studies show that out of everyone who uses these strips, this is a pretty broad study that was done, that only 10% of the people saw, yes, there is fentanyl, and threw the drugs out and didn't use them.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I just don't need to use this much.
Well, hopefully this doesn't have that much fentanyl, or I can, like you said, like that 250-pound fella, that he can. I'll just take a fourth of it, dude, because it's got fentanyl.
So here's the deal: is so that 10% threw out the sample altogether and said, "Nope, I'm not willing to risk it."
Sure.
But see, the key is that the rest of those people changed their behavior about how they were going to do this. So a lot of times that can look like, some of the suggestions we give is change your route of administration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of injecting, maybe opt for snorting or smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Do less than you usually would, and whatever you do not do it alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you are around someone, and that if y'all are using together, that y'all alternate your use at 20-minute increments so that y'all don't overdose simultaneously.
Sure.
And then also just have Narcan around.
Right.
You know?
Okay. So do you have a Narcan slide ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got one coming.
And just real quick, just to tell people, Narcan has been around for a long time. Do you know like the history of Narcan, Richard? Do you know how long it's been around?
Yeah, I know that it's been around since the 60s or 70s.
Since way before I was born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's been around for a little bit, but it didn't really take a very big role in regards to reviving drug users until the 90s.
Okay.
Was when it kind of originally got introduced, and a little bit of history behind that too. There were some kind of really trailblazing organizations within the 90s. One of those being Chicago Recovery Alliance, which was headed by a guy named Dan Big. And at the time, naloxone was actually illegal to possess. And
now, when you say naloxone, is that a? Go ahead.
So that's the active ingredient in Narcan.
And that's the brand name for Narcan.
Yeah,
Okay.
Narcan is the brand name. The active ingredient of Narcan is naloxone hydrochloride.
Gotcha. I like to spell that out because it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Especially for people
sure.
Especially for people that don't actually use.
Yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, Narcan's the brand name for the nasal spray, which is a formulation of naloxone hydrochloride. And naloxone hydrochloride is also available in intramuscular doses, which are commonly used by EMTs.
Right. And now, would that be, when you say intramuscular, would you mean like a shot?
Yeah, like
a
an
needle?
injection.
Yeah.
Injection,
Yeah,
right?
It's an injection. But the majority of what we hand out in Texas right now is the nasal spray.
All right, so let's say my boy Dylan here has taken one of those M30s, right? And he's blacked out and he's not responding. He's turning blue and all that good stuff. So would I actually just take this and spray it in his nose, or how would I administer?
Yeah, so that's what we'll do right now is we'll go to these next few slides.
Okay.
And an easy way to remember it is ABC.
Okay.
And it's the ABCs of overdose reversal.
Okay.
And so the first piece of that is, we'll go back to some of these other slides.
I saw the identifying signs, and I think that's important to hit that. The heavy or uncomfortable nodding, snoring, or loud breathing. That's me all the time.
Yeah.
No, but
That's me
and then-
without my CPAP machine.
But yeah, right. And then they not responsive, very shallow breathing or gurgling, pale skin, blue lips, fingertips not breathing, or low respiration. So yeah. So if somebody's unresponsive,
Yeah.
I mean that's a big indicator that they're overdosing.
Oh yeah, and definitely, and some of the numbers, we can point out that opioid overdose is the most common cause of death for people in America under the age of 50 right now. It's actually surpassed vehicular accidents. So if you do find someone that's
Give us
not
that statistic again. Go ahead.
So death under if someone passes away today in America that's under the age of 50,
right,
the most probable cause would be an opioid overdose.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's insane.
Right.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's up to about 255 people a day.
Wow.
So,
is that in the U.S. or is that worldwide or what are we talking?
That's in the U.S.
Wow. That's crazy. That's sad. But okay,
yeah,
so we have identified these signs. I've identified that my homeboy is overdosed,
I'm out.
and then basically it looks like a slide. Go ahead if you want to walk us through the slide here.
Yeah, for sure. So each box of Narcan will contain 2 nasal sprays.
Okay.
So you'll take one of the packages of the nasal spray out. You'll peel the aluminum wrapper off of the back of it. And then you see right here in box number 2, you'll place that nozzle into their nostril as depicted in box number 3. And then you'll hit the back of the plunger as depicted in box number 4.
Okay.
And so that will release the medication into their nose.
Right.
And then also too, that's the first thing that needs to be, that's the biggest piece right there.
Okay.
We're going to talk about these next 3 deals. We're going to talk about administer, breathe, and call, which are the ABC.
Okay.
Well, now, and also just so like people are aware, once you spray that in their nose, they're not immediately going to just like jump up.
No. So Narcan takes about 2 minutes to work.
Okay.
We do suggest administering an additional dose of Narcan each minute.
And that's henceforth the 2 in the package.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you can't give them too much of it. You're not going to harm them or injure
Right,
anyone.
and that's another important question that you bring up. Like, well, if I just hit some Narcan right now, it would not do anything unless I was taking opioids, correct?
Yeah, it wouldn't.
And it doesn't have any kind of like ill effect or any kind of.
There's no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no psychological or
psychoactive
or physiological effect from Narcan unless you have opioids in your system.
It's not like that Afrin nose spray, dude, that you get it hooked on.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, Afrin hits different.
Yeah, right. But okay, so we've got this, and then you were going to say the ABCs. I don't want to miss that part.
Yeah, so this is the A from the ABCs.
Okay.
Which is administered.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't necessarily matter what order these are done in because we're never going to walk in. Not each overdose situation is going to be the same. So we developed this acronym just to give like a little checklist. Like it doesn't matter in what order these things are done, but they do need to be done.
Right.
So the first one is administer.
Uh-huh.
The next one is so what's going on in an opioid overdose is the opioid receptors, the same ones that cause the euphoria of a high from opioids, also signal to the rest of the body. And so they can become so saturated at a point by the opioid that they actually stop signaling for the body to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what kills a person in the opioid overdose is the lack of oxygen. And so what the Narcan does is it takes those opioids off the receptors and allows the individual to start breathing again. And once they start breathing again, they come back to life.
Right. Yeah, because it's those receptors that are shutting down their breathing.
Yeah, telling them, hey,
yeah,
don't
it's the receptors
heart.
that are shutting down their breathing. So in the meantime, during the 2 minutes while the Narcan's become inactive, one of the most important things to do is to breathe for them.
Okay.
So you'll gently roll them onto their back.
Right.
You'll tilt their head back, open up their airways, as depicted in this image right here. And then you'll rescue breathing, which means you'll encapsulate their mouth with yours. You'll give them 2 breaths directly into their mouth, followed by a single breath every 5 seconds. And this is to get the person oxygen while they're not able to breathe by themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because it's a
COVID-19 disclaimer in here right now.
Yeah, of course. Well, I appreciate that. But I was going to say, because, I mean, if the person's not breathing, then how do you do it? Because, I mean, that makes total sense. So I would first, if Dylan was was overdosing, I would slap him like a bitch first and then make out with him, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, and then so basically,
No tongue, no.
No, but
no tongue, no.
No tongue.
If you use tongue, it greatly increases the risk of COVID-19.
Okay, and I don't think there's any oxygen, increasing oxygen properties from using your tongue.
Right.
It might decrease the oxygen you're giving me.
I gotcha. But no, on the serious tip, so you would basically give them like a little respiratory help. To help get this in their system and to actually help, I guess activate the Narcan.
No, so what this does is this is just going to provide him with oxygen so that he remains alive.
All right.
So the Narcan works. So the nasal spray is actually absorbed within the capillaries and the mucous membranes of the nose.
Sure.
And whether the person is breathing on their own or not, it will still be absorbed and it will still go into action and be working within 2 minutes.
Okay.
But during those 2 minutes, we see down here the risk of hypoxic injury, which could result in permanent brain damage.
Sure.
That is something that the rescue breathing will help to prevent.
Okay. Good stuff to know. Let's get to that C real quick.
Yeah. So the C is call 911.
Right.
So I'm gonna give our viewers some pretty good information around this. So
okay.
You call them and you report a medical emergency, and the terminology and verbiage on this is very important because EMS, fire department, sheriff departments are a lot of times always dispatched through the same system that comes out from 911. So if you call and you say, hey, my buddy Dylan is overdosing, there's a high probability in the state of Texas that a law enforcement officer is actually going to show up before an EMT.
Yep.
And the law enforcement officer isn't going to be so much interested in Dylan's life as he is going to be about
finding the drugs
for prosecution. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we always want to say, hey, my friend's not breathing. Here's my address. Now the flip side to that is when the EMT gets there and if you're at the scene and you're interacting with a medical professional, then you always want to be honest with them. Be like, hey, my buddy Dylan snorted a fake 30 milligram oxycodone. I believe he's been exposed to fentanyl. I administered 2 doses of Narcan already. You know what I mean? You do want to be honest with the medical professionals when they get there, but you do want to be wary of disclosing any information to 911 about drugs because it can trigger a different kind of response from the authorities.
Right. Yeah. You don't want, I mean, because typically they both show up, but sometimes they will come at it differently. And I've actually had to do that. So I mean, but that's good to know and good information to impart. Man, I mean, definitely. We could go on forever. I mean, do you have like anything else? Like, I mean, we've talked about where they can get it, where they can get the fentanyl strips. Where can people get Narcan, by the way?
So on the screen attached is my email address and also my phone number.
Okay.
They can just call me directly.
I don't see is it on the screen? Do we have it up there, Brett? His information? No, we don't have your information up there, but if you want to, let's go ahead and get that information. But okay, so like if I wanted to go get Narcan today, where could I access Narcan? So
you can access it at your pharmacy, but it's going to be about $125 a box.
Wow. Okay, that's expensive.
$75 to $125 a box at your pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
You can contact us, and we'll mail it out for free. And we'll also mail out large shipments to any organization that interfaces with people who are either in recovery or people who use drugs, and we can provide them with training materials and also supply their organization with Narcan, and we'll try to support them in any way that we can.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great fit, you and Skate Straight. Like, if y'all can get together and definitely make that Narcan available, just in case, because if you're hanging around it, I mean, I feel like it's almost good to always kind of have it on the ready, because you never know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, other than that, dude, I don't mean to cut you short, dude, but I mean, there's just so much good information here. Where can, if the people want to reach out to you, do you want to go ahead and shout out your phone number real quick?
Yeah, I'll shoot it out there. My phone number is 210-860-2443.
Okay.
And I'll say it one more time. It's 210-860-2443. And then my email address is centex, which is CENTEX, harmreduction@gmail.com.
Okay, cool, man. Well, I mean, I really appreciate you and what you're doing out there. I always applaud people in the recovery field for sure, because sometimes it's a thankless job, man. And I think it's great what you're doing and the resources that you're providing, and hopefully this will bring to other people's attention that are unaware of this, and they'll reach out to you, man. So
sure, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, real quick, let me go ahead and hit my sponsors. That would be summersky.us. They are a rehab center out in Stephenville, Texas. Their number is 888-857-8857, and that is summersky.us. If you're looking, if you don't think you can quit on your own, and need some time on the inside, it's a good spot. I went there, and it's working for me. And then also, if you want that long-term accountability and a good program, the cardinalhouserecovery.com, or just cardinalhouserecovery.com. They're in the DFW area, and their number is 918-998-4223. And ask for my boy Josh, and they've got that long-term help. If you can't navigate sobriety on your own, but you want it, it's a great place to go. It's a great resource. And then obviously, if you are watching us, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which if you go to thispinkcloud.com, it'll take you to our YouTube channel, and please hit subscribe. And then obviously, I want everybody to share this information, because that's how we get it out there. I would love to see something like this go viral, just because, of the information and the lack, I think the more people know, the better off, we can deal with this epidemic that's going on, and the problem that's out there,
Yeah, educating people and letting them know that, like, they're just because you're not ready to stop using, there are safer ways to do it. So,
well, Richard, as you solemnly sit there.
I appreciate you.
No, but we appreciate you, and thanks for making the time for us. Anybody you want to shout out while you're on here? I mean, obviously your wife or fiance.
yeah. She'll be my wife soon.
Cool.
For sure. Shout out to her. Shout out to everybody that's watching, and then also to shout out to the Levinson Foundation, which is one of our biggest contributors that's made a lot of these things possible for us.
Cool. Well, thanks, dude, and I'm glad you're not dead, man.
Yeah, dude, me too.
Yeah, from the COVID and from the overdoses. I'm glad you're around, dude, to tell your story and to share your experience, hope, and strength,
Yeah.
And then before we wind up, Dylan, did you have? I know you've got some events coming up. You know, you're doing your weekly thing.
Yeah,
you want to shout out?
Wednesday, everything that we do for Skate Straight, you can go to skatestraightrecovery.org, find all that stuff out. There's information on all the stuff that we do, and then other than that, shout out to the dog and the girl at home. And,
right.
You guys share this, like this. It's very important.
Yeah, comment on it, and
it saved my life. You know, like Narcan saved my life multiple times. You know, things like that. So it's really, really important that people know about this because a lot of people don't.
I love your central Texas harm reduction. Putting life in your hands, huh? Is the slogan.
Yeah.
Which is true. Which I love.
Self-determination. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Richard, again, man, I can't wait to meet you in person, face to face, one of these days. But you know, I appreciate you coming on, and Dylan, as always. Next week, we actually have the founder, Stephen Knight from Dogs Matter, and we have Cassie and Dusty are all going to be here, and we're going to be talking about Dogs Matter, which is an organization where you can foster your dog, and they will, while you're getting help for yourself, while you're in recovery, they specialize in finding homes for those dogs. So be sure and tune into that. But Brett, if you would, play us out, Maestro. Once again, Richard, thanks for coming on, buddy. You look good for having COVID. And thank you, Dylan, for joining us today.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
Drop the ball down.